Standing with your feet together, lift your chest, release your shoulders. Inhale, bring your hands to your chest. Exhale, extend your arms all the way up, stretching up, up, up. And then extending your arms out to the side, bend from your hips, bending all the way down. Align your fingertips with your toes, bending your knees, lift your head up. And then jump or step back into a push-up position. Inhale, lift your chest, release your shoulders, upward facing dog. And then come back into a push-up position, downward facing dog. Keep the legs straight, fingers wide apart, keep breathing. Keep extending through your heels, get the legs as straight as you can. Breathe. Fingers wide apart. And then once again come into a push-up. Extending through your heels, legs straight. Breathe. Come into upward facing dog. Lift the chest. Release the shoulders. Keep breathing and then come back into a push-up. Pushing back to downward facing dog. Legs straight, fingers wide apart. Breathe. And then once again come into a push-up, legs straight, fingers wide apart. Inhale, upward facing dog. Keep the chest lifted. Come back into a push-up, back through downward facing dog, legs straight, extend through your heels. And then take your right hand to center, roll on to the right side for side arm balance. Left arm up, breathe. And then come back to downward facing dog. Reposition your hands, fingers wide apart. Push up. And then coming into upward facing dog, lift the chest. And then back to push up. Pushing back to downward facing dog. Breathe. Arms straight. And then take your left hand to center, roll on to the left side, extend the right arm up. Side arm balance. Breathe. And then come back to downward facing dog, reposition the hands, breathe. And then back to push up, extend through your heels, breathe, upward facing dog. Lift the chest, look straight ahead. And then back to push up, downward facing dog, push through the heels, breathe, arms straight, fingers wide apart. And then step the right foot through. Get the right leg straight, extend the left arm up, triangle pose, looking up at the extended left hand, pushing to the left heel, base the big toe of the right foot. And then take the hands back to downward facing dog, get both legs straight, breathe, extend through the shoulders, come back into a push-up, and then come right into upward facing dog, lift the chest, breathe, and then come back to push-up, downward facing dog, legs straight, extend through the heels, and then step the left foot through, get the left leg straight, extend the right arm up, triangle pose, pushing through the outer right heel, base the big toe of the left foot, coming back into downward facing dog, legs straight, breathe, extend through the fingers, coming into push-up, upward facing dog, breathe, lift your chest. And then back to push-up, downward facing dog, extend through your heels, keep the back straight, fingers wide apart, and then step the right foot through, extended right angle, extend the left arm over your head, extending from the outer left heel to the fingertips of the left hand, and come back to downward facing dog, get both legs straight, fingers wide apart, breathe, keep extending through the heels. And then come into push-up, upward facing dog, lift the chest, push up, and then push back to downward facing dog, breathe, legs straight, and then push up. Once again, come into upward facing dog, look straight ahead, lift the chest, and then push back to downward facing dog, breathe, and push up once again. Upward facing dog, lift the chest, push up, and then push back to downward facing dog, extend through the heels, breathe. And then step the left foot through, extended right angle, extending the right arm over your head, pushing from the outer heel of the right foot to the fingertips of the right hand, breathe. And then coming back into downward facing dog, legs straight, fingers wide apart, back straight, breathe. And then coming into push-up, upward facing dog, lift the chest, breathe. And back into push-up, downward facing dog, breathe, push through the heels. And then once again, take the right hand to center, roll onto the right side, extend the left arm up, side arm balance, breathe. And then reposition the hand, come back to downward facing dog, legs straight. And then come into push-up. Upward facing dog, lift the chest, push up, downward facing dog, and then position the left hand to center, roll on to the left side, extend the right arm up, side arm balance once again, and then reposition the hands, come back to downward facing dog, get the legs straight, breathe, fingers wide apart. And then step the right foot through, keep the knee bent, extend both arms all the way up for warrior pose 1. Pushing from the left heel to the fingertips, lift the chest, look up, breathe. And then extend the arms back down, coming back into downward facing dog, legs straight, breathe, fingers wide apart. And then push up, upward facing dog, lift the chest. Looking straight ahead, breathe, push up, downward facing dog, legs straight, extend through the shoulders, breathe, step the left foot through, take both arms straight up, warrior pose 1, pushing from the right heel to the fingertips of both hands, and breathe, keep the chest lifted, and then come back into downward facing dog, get the legs straight, fingers wide apart, and breathe. And then once again, come into a push-up, upward facing dog, look straight ahead, lift the chest, breathe, push-up, downward facing dog, and then bend the right knee, come into pigeon. Come onto the knee, come onto the forearms, drop that right hip down, and breathe. Allow the breathing to release the hip down. Full, complete inhalations. Full, complete exhalations. And then come up onto your hands, lift your chest, look straight ahead, allowing that hip to drop down even more. And then coming back into downward facing dog, getting both legs straight, breathe. And then bend the left knee through, coming onto your forearms, pigeon. Releasing that left hip down, allowing the breath to help you release the hip down. Full, complete inhalation, full, complete exhalation. And then come up onto your hands, lift the chest, allowing that hip to settle down even more, breathe. And then coming back into downward facing dog, get the legs straight, fingers wide apart, lift through the shoulders, and then jump the feet through, hanging forward, take your arms out to the side, lift your head, lift your chest, and extend your arms all the way up, and then release your arms down, standing with your feet together, lift your chest, release your shoulders. And then inhale, bring your hands to your chest. Exhale, extend your arms up. Inhale again, and then exhale, extend all the way out, bending at the hips, aligning your fingertips with your toes, bending your knees, lift your head, and then either Jump back into push-up or step back. And then come into upward facing dog, lift the chest. And then come into downward facing dog. Come into push-up. Upward facing dog. Push-up. Downward facing dog. Get the legs straight, push through the heels, breathe. Once again, push-up. Upward facing dog. Lift the chest. And then push back into downward facing dog. Extend the heels down to the floor. Push up. Upward facing dog. And push back into downward facing dog. Extend the heels to the floor. Arms straight. Breathe. And then step the right foot through. Warrior pose 2. Keep the knee bent. Arms out to the side. Tremendous extension through both arms as you look to the right. Push to the outer heel of the left foot. Breathe. Keep the chest lifted. And then come back into downward facing dog. Legs straight, arms straight. Breathe. And then once again, come into push-up. Upward facing dog. Breathe, chest lifted. And then push up. Downward facing dog. Keep the fingers wide apart, legs straight. And then step the left foot through. Warrior pose 2. Arms out to the side. Keep the left knee bent. Push to the outer right heel, chest lifted. Extend equally through both arms as you look to the left. Breathe. And then come back into downward facing dog. Legs straight, arms straight, fingers wide apart. Breathe. Push up. Upward facing dog, lift the chest. Fingers wide apart. And then come back to push up. Downward facing dog. Breathe, legs straight. Push the heels down to the floor. And then step the right foot halfway through. Keep the right hand down as you bring the left leg up in the air, left arm up in the air. Working on getting that right leg straight, extending through the left heel. Breathe. And then bring the left hand down and come back into downward facing dog, getting both legs straight. Push up. Upward facing dog, lift the chest. Breathe. Push up. Downward facing dog. And then step the left foot halfway through, half moon pose, bringing the right foot up, right arm up. Work on getting that left leg as straight as you can as you extend through the right heel. Breathe. And then come back into downward facing dog. Push the heels back, legs straight. Push up. Upward facing dog. Breathe. Push up. Downward facing dog, legs straight, push the heels down, fingers wide apart, and breathe. And then we're going to step the right foot through, get the right leg as straight as you can, keep both hands down on the floor or on the shin if you need to. Keeping that right leg as straight as you can, pushing through base of the big toe of the right foot. Pulling that right hip back, extending through the left heel, breathe. And then come back to downward facing dog. Get the legs straight. Fingers wide apart. And then come into push-up. Upward facing dog, lift the chest. Push-up. Downward facing dog. Extend the heels down, breathe, fingers wide apart, and then step the left foot through, get the left leg as straight as you can. Keep both hands down on the floor or on the shin if you need to. Pushing through base of the big toe of the left foot, pulling that left hip straight back, pushing that right heel down, both legs straight. And then stepping back into downward facing dog. Get the legs straight, push the heels down, fingers wide apart, back straight. push-up, upward facing dog, lift the chest, push-up, downward facing dog, breathe, extend through the heels. Keep fingers wide apart. Keep the legs straight, push back through the heels, breathe. Fingers wide apart. And then take the right hand to center, roll onto the right side, side arm balance. Breathe. And then take the left hand back, reposition the hands for downward facing dog, legs straight. And then come into a push-up, upward facing dog, lift the chest, and then come back to push-up, downward facing dog, and then take the left hand to center, roll onto the left side, extend the right arm up, side arm balance, breathe. And then reposition the hands, come back to downward facing dog, legs straight. Breathe, fingers wide apart. Keep pushing the heels back to the floor and breathe. And then come into a push-up. Upward facing dog, lift the chest, look straight ahead. Push-up. Downward facing dog, breathe. And then step the right foot through, twisting triangle. Keep the left hand down, take the right hand up, keep both legs straight, push through base of the big toe of the right foot, outer left heel, open your chest up, breathe, and then come back into downward facing dog, legs straight, fingers wide apart, breathe, and then come into push-up, upward facing dog, lift the chest, look straight ahead, push-up, downward facing dog, and then step the left foot through, keep the right hand down, take the left hand up, both legs straight, pushing through base of the big toe with the left foot, outer right heel, chest open, breathe, and then step back into downward facing dog, get both legs straight, push up, upward facing dog, lift the chest, push up, and then push back into downward facing dog, both legs straight. And then look forward, bend the knees, and either step or jump the feet through. Feet together. Extend the arms out to the side, taking the arms all the way up, inhale. And then exhale the arms down, bring the hands to the chest. Namaste.